Hello and welcome to the McTaggart Attack Podcast. I'm Kevin McTaggart, and this is episode 135? Yes, it's episode 135. Again, I suck at remembering the numbers of each podcast episode, but I like to do it anyway because I like to keep track. I don't know why the fuck I try to keep track anymore. It's getting quite annoying. I might stop keeping track one day, but I won't announce it. I'll just stop keeping track, and you're just gonna have to fucking deal with that. Like, I've stopped doing a few things. I've changed some things around, but I've not gone ahead and announced those things or what the fuck I've done or whatever, unless I needed content for the podcast and just decided to talk about it. Why the fuck am I just fucking rambling? I don't even goddamn know. As always, if you want to contact me, you can email me at mctaggartattack@gmail.com. You can find me on Twitter at KevMcT, KEVMCT. It's the first three letters of my first name and the first three letters of my last name. It's not that fucking difficult. You can also find me on Facebook. You can also find the McTaggart Attack Podcast Facebook page. Several ways for you to contact me. You can even talk to my face. Don't call me, though. I don't like to talk on the phone. Yeah. I think that's appropriate. Sure. Today's episode is going to be about something. Well, it's something that I did something over the weekend that I don't think that I've ever done before. That's right. For the first time ever, I bought a pay-per-view, a wrestling pay-per-view that was not the WWE. That's right. I don't think I've ever done that. I thought about buying WCW pay-per-view back in the day a couple times, but I was strictly loyal to the WWE, so I never bought any WCW pay-per-views, especially during the Monday Night War era. But yeah, I bought a wrestling pay-per-view over the weekend. I bought AEW, All Elite Wrestling's Double or Nothing pay-per-view from Las Vegas on Saturday night. And that was, like I said, the first ever non-WWE pay-per-view that I ever purchased. I'll have to say, I've been bored, disgusted, annoyed, tired of watching WWE because just of who they try to force on us. I'm sick of Brock Lesnar winning everything. Now he's the Money in the Bank champion. I'm sick of them, doing that for, the part-time wrestlers who hardly ever show up and don't focus that much on the full-time wrestlers who were there. I think that's a fucking shame. I hate how there were wrestlers in WWE that I've enjoyed for a while, that like Shinsuke Nakamura and Rusev, and now they're apparently in tag team hell together. Or maybe they aren't even in a tag team anymore. I don't know exactly what the fuck's happening. I never really liked it when Sheamus and Cesaro became a tag team, because I liked Cesaro and I wanted to see him flourish as a singles competitor, but they made him in a tag team, and they seemed to do a good job, him and Sheamus. They did a good job as a tag team. I'm thinking back to December with WWE when the ratings were bad for them and they came out. Like Vince McMahon came out, Stephanie McMahon, Shane McMahon, Triple H came out. They all basically said, oh, you guys are the authority now. And nothing has fucking changed since then. They tell us all this fresh new start stuff, but it still seems like the same old shit. And how do they try to fix things? Like, they come up with some stupid wild card rule where wrestlers, a certain amount of wrestlers from one brand can show up on the other brand. Who fucking cares about that? Who fucking cares about that? I don't care. It's just stupid and aggravating. And I mean, why are they pandering to idiots? Why are they pandering to stupid people? You know, why are they pandering to them? Why don't they just try to build up their own full-time wrestlers on the roster? Why don't they just give time for them to develop? Why do they not, give a shit about anything? It's annoying when these guys come from NXT and then show up on the main roster and they do nothing with them. Like, I have been curious to see Aleister Black in NXT, and then I don't know what he's doing in WWE now, you know, or Ricochet and all that stuff. And they're from NXT. So what? The fuck what? It's just so annoying. What I want to see in WWE is a feud between Triple H and Stephanie versus Shane and Vince. NXT versus New Blood versus Old Blood. Or something. You know? I'm just sick and tired of seeing Vince McMahon on TV act like a crotchety old man. And maybe he's doing it as like a gimmick or something, but it's just fucking annoying. This podcast wasn't supposed to be about me venting about the WWE, but it was supposed to be about my thoughts on the AEW pay-per-view. So let's get to that. I did watch the pay-per-view for the most part. I fucked up when I was watching it on my phone. I couldn't get into it for the first match. I watched the Battle Royal and the other match that they had. My problem with the AEW, one of my problems with AEW is I don't know most of these guys, so I'm seeing them for the first time. But they've got so much talent on that roster, I think. All of the matches, I was very impressed with how everyone performed. I do think false finishes are kind of annoying. I think they're great. You know, false finishes are good, but you can't, overdo the false finishes. I was talking to my friend and professional wrestler Pierre Vachon, and he watched it too, and he was annoyed with the false finishes. But yeah, the false finishes was probably the one thing that, I liked it, but it was a tad bit annoying after they kept doing them in a lot of the matches. You know, because I feel like if you do a lot of false finishes, the actual finish has been diminished. There's very little reaction when it's an actual fall. You know? I don't know. But hey, I don't book how the matches go. But I was entertained. Despite all that, Double or Nothing was one of the best pay-per-views I've ever seen. Why? Because they spent a lot of time on the matches. All the matches that were on there were given time for them to develop, and they weren't forced to fit it into 5 minutes of television time like WWE does. No, this was good. I enjoyed watching it. It had a good lot of authenticity to it. I don't know. They were there to compete. They were there to show off. They were there to send a message to the WWE that, hey, there's somebody new in town. But I will say, I think my favorite match of the night was Cody versus Dustin Rhodes. Cody Rhodes versus Dustin Rhodes. I'd wanted to see that match for a couple years now. For a while now, really. And I think they did it once in WWE, but it was like a 5-minute match. And nobody gives a shit. But this match was like almost 30 minutes long. It was bloody. It was brutal. It was awesome. The ending afterwards was great when they hugged. It was just the absolute way, perfect way that I wanted their match to ever go. And they did it. And that was great. To see them wrestle each other was fan-fucking-tastic. That was my favorite match of the night. There were a lot of other good matches too. I liked seeing Awesome Kong show up. But I don't know a lot of the wrestlers that were on the show. But overall, I thought the pay-per-view was great. I do love when Cody's wife Brandy gave him the sledgehammer and he destroyed the Triple H throne. That was very cool and very symbolic and sent a good message, I think. Do I think this means the end of the WWE? No. Not at all. However, I think this gives them some competition. I think this gives them I hope this gives them a wake-up call. Is what I hope. That would be nice for them to have a wake-up call. Well, since, what was it, 2001, they've had no competition. They bought their competition. So they've had no goddamn competition for almost 20 years now. And now, hopefully, they do again. I'm looking forward to the weekly show that they'll have on TNT. I don't know what day it's going to be. I thought I heard Tuesdays. Because I think SmackDown's moving to Fridays when it goes to Fox. Which I don't really understand at all. Because I don't watch TV on Fridays. And I'm not going to stay home to watch WWE on Fridays. So I think that's a dumb move. But yeah, I was very happy with what I saw on All Elite Wrestling. I loved when Jon Moxley showed up at the end and beat the crap out of Jericho and then really beat the crap out of Kenny Omega. So that was very interesting. What else did I like? I thought the Battle Royal was really neat. I liked the guy who won that. Hangman Adam Page, is that his name? I'm asking no one. But yeah, I thought that one. Well, I thought all the matches were great. I didn't think there was any bad matches. I thought they all performed and didn't feel like any of the matches were rushed. And they put on a great 4 hours of show. I think it was on for about 4 hours, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it was very fun to watch. I enjoyed it. Like I said, it's one of the best pay-per-views I've seen. Despite the false finishes. And I'm very curious to see where they go with this. I'm very curious to see what they do. And I'm looking forward to watching both WWE and AEW in the future, just to see how they not necessarily compete, but hopefully do something with their products to make them interesting. Because they have to make it interesting. They have to try to grasp an audience. And I know with AEW being on Turner, that's a big move. I think if TNA or if Impact Wrestling, whatever the fuck it's called, if it had ever gotten to Turner, that would have been a big deal. But since they never did, they never could do anything. But I do like what I've seen from AEW already, out of the ring and in the ring. I do like how their product they're treating it slightly different. I feel like AEW is veering more towards the sports part of sports entertainment, or no entertainment at all, really. It's wrestling. It's professional wrestling. That's what it is. So if it is sports entertainment, if we are calling it sports entertainment, then it is the sports entertainment. And they are definitely stressing that part of it. But I thought, I'm very curious to see what they do. And I'm definitely going to watch when their weekly show starts, whenever that is. I think that's sometime in October. But I was very, very impressed with what I saw Saturday night. It was, for a non-WWE pay-per-view, it seemed very cool. It seemed very interesting. It seemed all the matches were great. I don't know who most of the wrestlers were, but I want to get to know who they are. So that should be good. But yeah, overall, I'm very intrigued to see what happens with AEW in the future. And I'm very intrigued to see what the WWE does to step up its game, because they've got to. I'm not saying the WWE will not go out of business, but they need to do something to improve their product, because they've done nothing. If what they're going to do is stupid wild card rules and bring out everyone and say, hey, we're going to listen to you guys from now on, but still you don't fucking listen to anybody. It's frustrating. Very frustrating. But we'll see. It's cool to have two wrestling promotions that I can watch again. And I'm not going to take sides. I just want to enjoy them both and see how they both do competing with each other. And that's all I've got for this week's, this episode of the McTaggart Attack podcast. Giving my thoughts on AEW Double or Nothing, and talking about what I hate about the WWE. And that's the bottom line. If you smell what the McTaggart Attack podcast is cooking.